Good day, everyone. Richard Cowperthwait for Northwest Access TV. Thanks for joining us for another show. And we're back kind of where we've been before. We've got a third vote coming up in Swanton Village, a big project, and I've got three people here who know what's going on very well. Susie Kelleher, a Swanton Village trustee. Dwayne Kuchar, the supervisor of Swanton Village Electric Department. Bill Sheets, the Swanton Village manager. But Bill, for important things first. The Lady T-Birds, you off to a good start coming off your championship year. Looking forward to another fine season, I trust.
This is a season of opportunities to improve. We're 0-2.
Oh, is that right?
Oh, tough
loss
start, to a D2 team, and what an opportunity tonight playing Powerhouse BFA at home at 4:30.
Wow. Oh, is that right? Big, yes. I'm sure you get a good crowd for that game.
Great turnout. The ladies are excited. They're loose. Every year's different. We hope to be playing our best at the playoff time. We're not playing our best right now.
Really? Sounds like weather. Hopefully the forecast. It sounds like late day you may have an issue. I guess we'll see.
We'll wait and see.
Anyway, but good luck and congrats again on your great season last time around.
Thank you.
Anyway, we've got, and I should note, we're taping the show on Tuesday, April 29th, and the big vote in Swanton Village coming up 1 week from today, Tuesday, May 6th. So I guess we should have a little background. Again, kind of a third vote on a big project. Started 2 town meetings ago with the vote on a proposed public safety building. That went down hard. A very close vote last town meeting day on a revamp project. And you're coming back with a bit more revamping and a little less cost. But
so completely distinct, different projects in every possible way.
Is that from
the very first one, which was a quick recap. The Board of Trustees, I have all the respect in the world for them. They really, truly, simply said, let's see what the voters say. Prohibitively expensive. That's what the voters decided. So our first attempt was to move public safety, police and fire next door, 124 First Street on land we bought in early 2023. We heard loud and clear. 70-30 against. So the current construct of the trustees, including Trustee Kelleher, heard again loud and clear. The voters said, why don't you try to move the electric department next door? Not a direct impact on taxes. While it's a fee increase in rates, it's a modest increase.
And that would give you some more space for the police department if that happens.
Truly solves all of our space needs. It meets the needs literally for 34 cents a day to 54 cents a day. It meets the needs of our electric department and all the support staff for the next 50 years while meeting the space needs of everyone else in the organization. Primary increases for public works and the police. So we did lose the first try on this one by 6 votes.
Told me before that you were right on with your prediction on the vote, the first vote on the public safety building, 70-30 again.
Correct.
What did you think about the town meeting? Did you think that would go? What was your prediction on that vote?
That it would pass.
That it would pass.
Pretty significantly.
Is that right?
I think we were, fair to say, I think we were all shocked. There's a lot of misinformation. We can talk all day about social media and the pluses and minuses to that. There are still people out there openly saying it's going to increase their taxes, it's going to go through the roof, they're not going to be able to afford to live here. And, the truth of it is, it's an increase, and we don't want to minimize the financial impact of any increase, but we will never have the opportunity to do a project of this scope for this cost ever again.
Interesting. And again, the last vote was very close. I'm talking six votes?
6 votes, yeah.
Wow.
So it's a 6-vote difference. So what we heard from those who did vote and those who did comment on social media was that the cost seemed too much, and like maybe we had too many extras. So we went back to the drawing board. The core group of us from Swanton Village, to include myself, Dave Winchester, Lynn, Bill, Dwayne, and Darren, as well as Connor Construction and Weeman Lamphere, and we went through and said, okay, what can we do without? And that was really driven by us wanting to bring the cost down, but also working with Connor Construction. Mike and Sean are excellent, saying, maybe if we changed this, we got rid of the brick on the outside, that'd cut your cost. If we, maybe we weigh it on the generator and see if we can get a grant for that, that'll cut your costs. And so those are the things that we kind of relied on Connor to help us bring the cost down. And Mike said that he was shooting for $1 million savings, and we ended up 830.
852.
852,000 less than the last time around.
Yeah.
Correct.
Well, Dwayne, you have a good project. Again, you've made some changes in it. Are you still totally comfortable with what
Yes.
with
Yes.
what's proposed here?
Yes, the changes that we did make, we all agreed on that part of it.
Yeah.
So we still think we've got a very good project, a very good building that's going to suit all of our needs.
Yeah. Susie, you're talking to folks out there. I can only assume you've talked to a number of people who you know voted against it in March.
Yes. And
Do you think you've convinced some of them to go the other way around, or?
I don't feel like it's my job to convince
Yeah.
people how to vote. I think it's my job to inform people, right? So when they're talking, this is going to affect our taxes, I like to, say, no, this is rate paying. When they talk about, well, this is exactly how much our rates are going to go up, I come back with, no, the PUC has to decide. A Public Utilities Commission needs to decide if this is a good rate or not. This is everything in here is our worst case scenario, right? So this is this is the max amount we think the project is going to cost. This is the max amount we think the PUC would raise rates. This is not the absolute, this is just our worst case scenario. And so that's when you inform them or inform the voters of that, you can start to see when you're having a conversation with them that they're getting it, they're understanding how it will impact them in the ways that they didn't think that it was going to impact them, right? So it's like 30 cents a day. It's still a lot. I understand. I'm not trying to minimize that. But at 30 cents a day, we not only get a new building for the electric department that will be sustained by the electric department and ratepayers, not taxpayers, for the next 50 years. We get space for the police department and public works, which is taxpayer-based, without spending a dime of taxpayer money. So when you add that in, the 14,000 square feet we're going to get for the police and public works, that added savings, I think, brings us up to the $1 million that Mike Connor wanted to save.
Yeah. Dwayne, did you think you'd get approval on the March vote?
I did. I was very surprised at that. And,
So you were very
and I agree
surprised.
with both Bill and Susie that it definitely was. I heard about a lot of misinformation.
Yeah.
They still thought that it was the taxes.
Yeah.
And I don't know how. We thought we had put it out there very clearly. That's why we came out with the information, little pamphlets that we mailed out to all the village voters. And hopefully we explained it very clearly in these. That's the difference.
So you think that message is getting through pretty well, that it will not be an effect on property taxes?
I do think so. And I think also that since we've sent out the pamphlets, we've seen a lot more absentee ballots and people coming in and voting because they're understanding how it's going to impact them in a different way.
Yeah. At this point, Swantonville, when I last left you folks, Swanton Village Electric, third lowest rates in the state, or thereabouts. That'll kick that up a bit, or not drastically, or?
No, that's the really beautiful end result of all this. We're in the
doesn't kick it.
lowest 1/2 of 1%.
Yeah.
The two entities, Muni Powers, that are ahead of us in lower rates are Ludlow and Orleans.
Okay.
They are both currently into the PUC for double-digit rate increases. So we will still be in the lowest 2 or 3, and even conceivably, we could still be the lowest in the state, even with this project within the next 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
And that's all thanks to our hydroelectric facility.
Interesting. And you get about 3/4 of your power from that. How much do you get from your hydro or your own?
80%.
75% last year, but we had a down year with some turbines down. So anywhere between 65 and 80, 81% annually.
Wow. So again, this project, Dwayne, is a good project. I mean, it's a key project for Swanton Village Electric, obviously.
It is for our whole staff and the line crew, everything, all of our equipment, everything. It's perfect for all of that for the next 50 years.
No. Again, we're taping the show on just a week before the election, Tuesday, April 29th. So you had the public info meeting last night with, what, eight people showing up, Bill?
Yeah, which, for our regular meetings, which we have some of the lengthier meetings, because I think we do have a lot going on in our community.
Yeah.
And generally, there's one or two, or occasionally nobody. So it was encouraging to at least have 8 of our citizens show up to the meeting.
Yeah. They had plenty of questions. Do you think, was it clear? Do you think you have 8 supporters there? Do you know which way they're going to go? Did they make that clear last night?
I don't believe that they're all supporters. I think all the questions were fair. The conversation was very pleasant, back and forth. I think there are some people that any increase at all is a no vote.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure with any community, I got to think any money item, X number of people are going to be just voting against it. We'll just vote against any money item. Hopefully, from your point of view, that's not a big percentage of voters.
Well, we're hoping that it's not, but I understand that around us are two of the big 3. And they are constantly raising their rates, and we haven't had a rate raise in 10 years. So, in raising these rates, we just don't arbitrarily raise the rates for Swanton Village Electric. And not only do we not raise the rates, we have consistent electricity, right? So when you have a power outage, if it's more than an hour, there's something significantly wrong with the system. The guys are quick, they're on it, and I think at the cost of a 30-cent increase, have the reliable power that we have, and have the guys and the ladies and the support staff in the office to have a space where they can work and function in a manner that is in the 21st century. I think that it's a nominal cost to ask of the owners of the voters and the owners of Swanton Village Electric.
Yeah. Can you go over again just what the project entails? Just get into, if you get your approval, how does this help police? I mean, police department get some more room also?
Yeah, so anybody that's been in our current facility at 121st Street, when you walk in, you see the customer service professionals on the right-hand side.
Yeah.
Everybody in that entire wing up to the auditorium is going to be relocated, with the exception of the police department, which live candidly in a closet.
Yeah.
Completely unsatisfactory in every single possible way. They would inherit that entire space. So, for example, where my office now is will be Chief Sullivan's office. Across the way, they can spread out any way they see fit. Our current safe will be an actually functional, meet certification standards temporary evidence room immediately with no cost. That's the beauty of this. There's a belief out there that we're going to immediately come back and have a request for upgrades for the police department and public works. We're not going to ask for a penny. We can do things internally. We can throw a coat of paint on. We can handle that out of our own budget. We could put maybe a half wall up. We can do things like that. We need to send a signal to our police professionals that the community cares enough about them to afford them the space that is required by a professional police department. It's the only vacancies we have. We have 2 vacancies. We have some really good leads. We got some really good part-time hires going on right now that are essentially fully certified that could lead to full-time. But how many times can a part of your organization be told no before they start looking around and thinking, you know what, perhaps I'm going to go over to this organization.
So that's obviously a huge concern if you continue not to get approval for a project that you may be running into more than a couple vacancies in the PD.
I'm quite confident there are people, Richard, watching this program will be like, I'm okay. We don't need the police and we'll save a lot.
Yeah.
They're absolutely right. Our village taxpayers would save an incredible amount of money if they don't have to pay for police at all. But you either have to contract, or if you go without, and you're relying on the services of a very understaffed Vermont State Police, you're going to then understand what it's like to not have a police department.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a question. One of the candidates for Swanton Select Board a couple of years ago, and of course the big issue in Swanton town was they just barely approved it a couple of years ago, just a big increase in the budget with Swanton Village PD covering the town. But the candidate I was talking to said, I'm against that. It's too much money. And I said, and if that goes down, then what? And his response was, well, state police will cover. And basically I'm saying, boy, good luck with that.
And they're entitled to their opinion. I think there's so much at stake. Policing is expensive.
Yeah.
And it's a tough field right now, and you don't see a lot of people raising their hand to say, you know what, no matter what, I want to go be a police officer right now.
Yeah.
So it's exceedingly difficult with competition all around us.
Yeah.
And I think it's very, very important for our community to be covered by our own police department, where you have a response to quality of life crimes.
Yeah.
Right now, so we just talked about it last night at the meeting. There's a point where people call up and you can have a dialogue about, hey, if it's not too much trouble, there's people running stop signs at this location.
Yeah.
Or they're speeding in the town at this location.
Yeah.
We can respond to that immediately. You're not going to get that with the state police.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. And we have a great relationship with the town, and now we're seeing this support, the margin of support for the 10-hour contract went from barely passing 2 years ago to this last March passing by an extremely 75%, I think, were supportive.
That's all right. So just a very decisive vote in favor of that.
Great relationship right now. Yes.
Interesting. Twain, will the electric department, if this passes, does this make life easier for you folks? With a finished project, will this just make life a lot easier and better for?
It will, because all the equipment that we do house outside now will be inside. That's one of the great things, to be able to take care of that equipment and not have it, rusting away outside. It'll be inside.
Yeah.
So that's a big plus for sure. And in creating that outside space that the public works needs by moving some of our stuff over, like our poles and whatever, that gives them more space outside that they can utilize that we just don't have at 121st Street.
Yeah. Bill, time frame, anybody? Time frame of the project, if you get approval, May 6th? How soon are we talking construction on this?
In all likelihood, the correct answer is next year.
Is that right? Probably not till next year?
Probably not till next year. Theoretically, if the brownfields remediation was expedited based upon knowing exactly where the foundation's going to go, there would be a chance to break ground, but then you got to pay premiums for winter construction.
Yeah.
So the answer is it depends. We still would have a shot at late fall. In all likelihood, it could be next spring.
Yeah. And how long a time frame are we talking?
1 year.
1 year.
Yes.
Interesting. Boy, big. Will the third time be the charm? I guess is a question here.
Fingers crossed, and there are certain things too that when we do the tours, it becomes readily apparent, and it's kind of like the current norm for Dwayne Hollywood Shop. That's his new nickname because he comes on here often. And I said I would weave that into this conversation, so I did. Like right now, even the space, they eat their lunch on the mezzanine level in the garage with vehicles pulling in and out, wintertime. So you're having your lunch in an environment it's not healthy.
Yeah.
And that's just, there's just so many layers of reasons why it's just outdated. There's not enough space. It's just ineffective. And again, like Trustee Kelleher said, we don't want to minimize the financial impact, but it's reasonable. This is a reasonable ask.
Yeah. So you touched on this, Susie. Do you think you're kind of making progress going from just decisive defeat on the first project to a very close vote on the second project? You feel like you're kind of making progress on this?
I do think so, but I also think that there's still like a lot of confusion of like, the first project was an entirely different and separate project.
Yes.
So we're looking at this as a second vote on the electric department, not a third vote, right? So the first vote was soundly defeated because it was a lot of money to ask of taxpayers in the village. We don't have a lot of, village residents, and they were being asked to shoulder a large burden, a large bond. So that made sense to me that was defeated. This first vote on the electric department, I had thought that it was going to pass, but with all the disinformation out there, especially with people being confused about where the money was coming from, thinking that we're just recycling the public safety building, I think that is why we lost that vote. And we attempted to be very clear, but you always can't fight against what's out there on social media. And I do know that there are people who do try, and sometimes I see that it ends up being more of a conflict with voters and more of an argument instead of a discussion, right? So I'm hoping that we've been able to educate through this pamphlet, through our meetings, through outreach. We have citizens doing some citizen outreach, that they can see that it's not a recycling of the public safety building. It's a building that we sat down and said, and looked at to our subject matter experts, Dwayne and Darren and Lynn in the front office, and said, what do you need to be successful in this new building? They told us. We worked with Weeman, we worked with Mike and Sean, and this is where we're at. So I'm hoping that people can see the way that we started here, but we're here now at this different point, and it's a totally different project. And we've tried to cut as much as we can so that the bond that we're asking for is not a lot. It's going to, when we spread it out over our 38 customers, it's depending on how much electricity used, it's 30 cents a day. Yes, that's still a lot to ask. I understand in this economy and in this climate that we're currently in, but if not now, then when? And if we're passing the budgets for the police department and public works, and we're saying that, yeah, we approve of the work that you're doing, then I feel like there's a disconnect between that vote on the building, because you're not, even though you approve of these departments and the works that they're doing, you're not giving them the space that they need to function properly in this modern era, right? So the police department is still the little closet it was when my dad worked there in 1980. And we're now, 40 years later, there needs to be more for a modern police department than what we're giving the tools for our department to work with.
Are you feeling better about the social media situation? Do you feel, I don't go near social
I don't
media.
feel better about it. I still feel like there's a lot of disinformation, and I try to educate where I can, but sometimes it feels like it's a losing battle. So I think that's why we pivoted to this year.
And you didn't do this you didn't do this on the last phone?
That's correct.
Correct.
Yeah.
We did, what was it, 4 public here?
Yes.
We did 4 public meetings, and they were not well attended. So we all discussed, the board and Bill, we discussed doing this pamphlet because we figured that was, we send direct mailers to the voter's house. They get to look at it, and there's contact information, you have questions to reach out. And I think that's been more efficient than the way that we handled it the first time.
Yeah. Are there some folks who actually put some positive stuff out on social media about this or about any?
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, we have our, our supporters, and a couple people have even said, like, hey, my bad, I didn't vote last time. I thought it was going to pass. This is a no-brainer. But voter apathy is a real thing. It is, and you can be privy to who votes and who doesn't because it's public record.
Yeah.
But we need to be careful as elected officials as to how we use that information sometimes. So I think that, we need to be respectful of all of our constituents. And I think sometimes when we're looking at social media, we're not seeing that respectfulness between some elected officials and some constituents, as well as people with each other, right? Like, so if we have like a supporter, maybe they are arguing with somebody who doesn't support it. And you're seeing that on the community page. And I think that that tends to break down, our community instead of building up our community. So while the community page has its uses, and I think it has the potential to be a good place to disseminate and come together, I don't always see that. I see more of a fracturing.
Yep, true.
The turnout on the March vote was what? I hate to even ask. Was it teens, or was it even
We
double
touched
digits?
Yeah, we touched 20%.
20%.
Yeah, we did better than the town, who was about 16%.
Is that right?
I will be shocked if we get 20% this time
Is that
for a single item.
Yeah.
Is that right? It's not town meeting, just kind of a.
Right.
Is that right? So probably a smaller turnout.
Maybe we'll be surprised, but based on everything we're seeing, again, voter apathy is real, and I think there were a number of people that even came up to me and said, I cannot believe that didn't pass.
Yeah.
Oh, did he vote? I didn't make it in. So, and Trustee Kelleher is absolutely right. We should never be forceful. We should provide factual information and respect the rights of the voters and answer any questions that they have, but no more.
Yeah. Twin, it certainly sounds like, from what I'm hearing, from what I know, it sounds like Swanton Village Electric Department is held in pretty high regard. It sounds like, and one of the problems isn't people just down on the electric department for whatever reason.
No.
Certainly sounds like that doesn't come into play.
No, I don't. Most of our supporters really like the electric department. They're happy with our rates. They're happy with their service. It's the bottom line. It's that dollar. How much is it going to impact them? And this was the best way that we could come up with, that the board could come up with, to have the least impact on anybody. Whether you're a fixed income or whether you're working a full-time job right now, doesn't matter. Like Susie said, 30 cents a day, a cup of coffee a week, you got to do without. That's kind of what it is. We're hoping more people come out. We're asking more people to come out and support us. We're hoping for that. Again, it's hard to get people to come out. They may support us, but just getting them to come to that poll and vote is what we're asking them for.
We should note, as you obviously have voting again Tuesday, May 6th, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. at the Village Municipal Complex. And for that matter, people can vote early.
They can. They've been coming in. I think we're coming up to the line for requesting an absentee in the mail. Because after Thursday, I wouldn't trust that it will make it. A couple of points of clarification. So. This is considered a new vote. If it was a revote, it would be a vote for the same exact thing without any monetary change. We are allowed legally to do this once in a 12-month period.
So is that right? Just once, huh?
Correct.
Wow.
So that is why I think it's really important also to clarify a 10.25% reduction in cost is not nothing. So the team really scrubbed what we thought we could do and eliminate or reduce just based on a number of factors, whether it's HVAC, landscaping, the generator, the brownfields remediation, you name it, that's a significant departure. So we didn't do what some others do. And I'm not picking on a school district, but some $60 million budgets shave $100,000 and go back to the voters because they can do it again and again and again. We have one shot.
You could have come back with the same exact project or not?
We could have. We could have, but again, and you could do that, and that's free. And then you could reduce it and have another shot. But I think, even though it was a narrow margin, I think the Board of Trustees correctly read the tea leaves. So we have to do what we can do. There's so much at stake here.
Yeah, sounds like it. Well, I've got you. Probably some other issues, relicensing. How are you faring on the relicensing issue at this point?
Well, Richard, I'm glad you asked. We're in the same exact position. Actually, we're a little bit further. So the very last request for an extension of time from our attorney to FERC was denied by FERC.
Really?
So we have now a couple of more months to have a dialogue with FERC. And all this does is put the 401 State of Vermont process to the forefront now. So basically FERC is saying, okay, Village of Swanton, you have done enough environmental studies to satisfy what we're doing. And we're happy with where we are at this point, so we're going to force the process. So this is now where we could be months away, unless FERC changes their mind, from having a dialogue with the state of Vermont, which would begin in 2026. So we're okay for this year. Our FERC license is in good standing. It renews every year. It is identical to operating under the old license. Once the 401 process starts with ANR, that is when they will make a determination on whether they will allow us to operate in the same manner as we are now, our ability to peak and pond and utilize natural resources, Mother Nature's water, to produce power at peak times, or if they will say, we will give you a license, but we want you to operate in run-of-river mode. No peaking. You get what Mother Nature delivers, and that's it. We will fight that in every court possible for as long as possible. It's a nonsensical decision if they make that decision, and it's great to be in a position supported by the trustees where I can speak like that. We respect ANR. We understand what their role is. We have been operating that hydroelectric facility with peaking and ponding for a long time, and it's okay by FERC standards, and there is no reason why we shouldn't be able to continue to do that. That is something, if you get an adverse ruling and it stands eventually in court, that will cost our ratepayers.
Wow. Swanton Village, of course, you're members of VIPSA, Vermont Public Power Supply Authority.
Correct.
Or other, and again, there are other, Enosburg Falls, other folks trying to get relicensed now too. Are they typically running into the same hassles or whatever issues that you guys are with the state in particular?
Very much the same, but even with FERC and the state combined. So I think Morrisville's on year 9 of their original license. Enosburg is in their 2nd year. And we all have a willingness to engage collaboratively or separately with ANR, DEC in Vermont, and that time is near. So we're almost there.
Interesting. Does anybody ever talk to the governor about stuff like this for what that's worth? It just seems like...
I believe it is on the governor's radar, but remember the secretary of ANR is in the governor's cabinet. So I think that... I believe we have to alleviate or navigate all of those channels. And if we get an adverse ruling, then maybe perhaps our delegation can bring that up with the governor.
Julie Moore being the ANR chief? Or,
yes.
Okay, and the former, Waters are, whatever her...
Correct, yes.
Well, it just sounds like the state. Just sounds like the state's, from your point of view, is just very difficult to deal with about this.
I think they're well-intentioned. They come at it from a good point of view. I believe we do as well. And hopefully we have a dialogue where we can mediate this and come to a resolution that's agreeable and amenable to all.
Yeah. Well, you got decisive voter approval, albeit in a very small turnout a few years ago over your wastewater plant upgrade.
Yes.
That work is ongoing. How are you faring with that?
It's going really good. We're about at the midway point.
Yep.
And we got the main line done last week.
Correct. Yeah.
And we're getting ready to put our centrifuge in. So, and we have a meeting scheduled for the Board of Trustees on May 19th at 4 p.m. to go and look over the wastewater plant, and it's open to the public. So anybody who wants to come out and see what's been done and just check out the wastewater plant is welcome to attend.
Again, it seems like I recall a conversation with your predecessor, Mr. Beliveau, just with the state mandating municipalities that had wastewater plants to reduce phosphorus by whatever. And it seems like I remember Red saying, I'm not sure we can do that. Will that in fact happen with this, or is that happening? Can you do that?
We'll meet and exceed all state of Vermont standards. So this is a complete overhaul and upgrade of the plant, roughly an $8 million project. The filters, you need to see them to appreciate them. So you hear filters and you're thinking, all right, it's a filter, it's this big. One of our plant workers, Dylan DuPont, is 6'2", and he stands inside of them with plenty of room. These are 10-foot filters, about, I forget how high, and there are 4 of them. And these are Blue Pro phosphorus reduction filters that have literally tons of media that filters, and then it will aid in phosphorus reduction. It'll reduce our use of chemicals. In the long run, it should save expenses on the use of chemicals. This centrifuge, when it is up and running and commissioned, hopefully on May 12th, will allow us to start dewatering our sludge, land applying it every 2 years, which every time we do that, it saves us between $100,000 to $250,000 depending on how many tons we're land applying. So really good, positive things. We encourage the public to come out. That being said, we had 4 open houses down there. 2 of our citizens showed up.
Two people?
2 total.
Wow.
Who were also at the informational meeting last night.
Yep.
Wow. I guess kudos to those 2 people, I guess. Huh? And what about water treatment? Any big news on the water treatment plant front?
The water treatment, we just upgraded our media. So essentially the lake is our source, and it comes through the plant, goes through our filters. We just added a lot of, not tonnage, but bags of sand and anthracite. So we are totally up to speed. We're updating our chemical pumps. So water's in a different place. Water was done, not that long ago, but it's been a decade. So the routine maintenance and upkeep, and then keeping up with Lake Champlain, it's fickle. You get those 5-foot waves, and it increases turbidity, causes a lot of call-outs and alarms, and those guys have to constantly adjust what they're doing internally. So same thing. If you're watching this program and you want to go and take a tour, it's like a science lab. It's fascinating. I had show and tell last night at the meeting in terms of, the science and technology that's there, and then the daily tracking of things. If you're a part of water and wastewater, there's 4 total employees. Every weekend, it's 24/7, 365. You have to go and you have to do the samples at both plants. Those are all monitored and sent to the state of Vermont on a daily basis. And it just ensures the quality for both wastewater and water.
Were zebra mussels, were they a concern initially, or are they a concern with just with water intake pipes?
They have not been for us, but I think others have had difficulty.
Yeah, but not for you folks.
Not yet.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like flooding again. Just back from my trip, I guess lake level is just a little under 98 feet, so no flooding issues unless we get a ton of rain coming up here.
No, so far we're okay.
Yeah. How are you doing in terms of hydroelectricity? You're producing about what you usually produce now?
I think we're ahead of the game right now.
We have all of our turbines working except for one small unit, and there's a continuing vibration in there. So we have to go offline at the end of May to determine what's wrong with that. But that's one of the 1 megawatt units. So our maximum capacity in the best case scenario is about 9.6, 9.7 megawatts. We're producing on average throughout the day about 8.6 up to 8.7. So really high production. So this is the time of year, and this is natural, and this is an agreement that we abide by. We are in Runner River, and we're in Runner River from April 1st until May 31st. Despite that, we're maximizing production because we've been spilling all except for literally about a handful of hours during this month. So Mother Nature has been very good. And again, for those that don't often hear this, it allows us to cover the load for our 3,800 customers. Anything above and beyond that, we're able to sell and make a profit. So we are a proud member of EPSA, and while others that don't have the hydro have to pay for their power during the month, inevitably for this month and many months during the year, we get a check back. Despite all the services we pay for, we get a check back based on the power that we provide to the grid.
Interesting. And the Bladder Dam, how's the Bladder Dam holding up okay?
Excellent.
Yeah.
Got a knock on wood on that one.
And you've told me before, this is the biggest bladder, it's a very big bladder dam, right?
It's number 2 now. I think we're still the longest, but we're not the biggest, or we're the tallest and not the longest. Somebody eked us out in the world.
As in the world?
Correct.
Not in the world.
That's correct. Yeah.
Boy, where did the Bladder Dam, where did that come from? I mean, not a lot of folks have bladder dams, I assume, or?
It predates me. I got a little history, but go ahead.
You got any Bladder Dam history, Dwayne?
Well, I mean, Enosburg has a small one.
Oh, is that right?
as
They have a
well,
small one?
They use the metal crest gates
Really?
to go up, but theirs is only 2 foot that they use with a small bladder, which is kind of the strange thing is between these bladders is the amount of pressure that's in our large one is a lot less than in Enosburg's small one. Ours is, I think, like 3 school buses could fit inside of it, length to length. There is I do know that there is another taller one. It's not as big, and I can't remember exactly what state that one's in. I don't know. Our first one was made by Bridgestone. I don't know if they were the original people that came out with the rubber dams. It would kind of be my thought. It probably was. But I don't know the history on that part.
Yeah. Again, for anybody, you probably mentioned this before, I'm sure you folks mentioned it, just when the river's running, I mean, it's just incredible to go down to the dam and go over the bridge here. I mean, it's incredible. If you want a good slice of life in Franklin County, do it sometime. It's never ceases to amaze me, just the volume and the power you see down there. The Route 78, I think I used to kind of mistakenly called it the Route 36 bridge, the Route 78 bridge over the Missisquoi. Again, replacement not too far away. Bill, anything new to report on that?
Not a thing. We're told it's in the queue. We're told it's still roughly 2029 with some design work to be done in 2028. With that being said, we know there's a serious departure in the availability of federal funds to work on different projects, to include paving. So we're not sure if that's going to delay the bridge replacement or not.
Boy, so 2029 is what the targeted or the...
That's where we fall on the list right now.
On the list.
Yes.
Bridge is okay. You confident? Will the bridge is okay until then? It's got some? I know you did some. Some work on it. What last year or?
The expansion joint repair looks phenomenal. The decking, there's not probably enough asphalt, but it was irresponsible for us to consider putting a top coat on it for a couple $100,000. If the bridge is going to be replaced when it's going to be replaced. So it's just about financial sense at this point. I'm not a bridge expert, but I can tell you that the bridge experts report to us that it is in satisfactory condition until it's replaced.
And Marble Mill project, were you kind of waiting to deal with that bridge before maybe doing some more things in Marble Mill, or am I crazy? Did you? Someone mention that?
Before my time, there was a master plan done up for Marble Mill, and it was cut into different phases. So the first phase is just basically the crosswalk, flashing signs, and some plantings, and those are things that we're working on this year. Then the other phases have kind of been put in like a status right now, because while we've put lights in and we're moving to put security cameras in at Marble Mill, there's some things that we haven't been able to move forward on because of funding. The park belongs to the village, and we just don't have the capital funds to do the upgrade that was in the master plan. even if we did it in stages. We would rather, put our capital fund money towards fixing the streets and creating a municipal parking lot right now. We have working on resurfacing the tennis court for Pickleball Nation. Getting pickleball courts. We've got the lights up for them. So we're moving slowly towards making progress and change at Marble Mill. We have Heidi Birch-Valenta always looking out for any grants that we could use to upgrade Marble Mill. The problem is it's in a flood zone, so that really kind of limits us on what we can do there. We are working with Northern Canoe Access to fix the takeout on ferry by the VFW, and also some kind of tent camping areas in the park proper. So, we're working towards the end goal of making Marble Mill a safe destination and a destination that people want to go to, but it's going to be a slow progress towards it.
Bill, back to the bridge project, the estimated price tag on that, did you mention that? How much is?
The state of Vermont has not given us that, but the rough estimate's $10 million.
About $10 million.
Yeah.
You running into any issues with what's going on at the federal level, just cutbacks by the feds on everything? Any effect on Swanton Village at this point from that?
Concern. We all work closely with our federal delegation in terms of grants, and Trustee Kelleher mentioned Heidi Birch-Valenta. Just like many of our employees, just outstanding, and the collaboration between her and all of our department heads. We've secured $7.5 million in grants in the last 18 months, with another $15 million requested, with some very large asks for updates for hydroelectric, for grid resilience, for Dwayne's shop. And it's those types of things that we're pursuing aggressively. With that being said, there are some where you go on the queue and you see the status of your application, and it's on hold by the federal government. There are others, like hydro, that are very much open and active. And then, the resurfacing of the courts at Marble Mill. We asked once, we were denied. We asked again. We're in the queue, hopefully, $50,000 independent grant by a nonprofit provider, and we're asking for that. So that's the beauty of the support of our Board of Trustees, because you do have to have some leadership courage. It's easy to get grants, but then I come into the room and I say, hey, this is great news. However, we got to come up with $150,000 in match. And they have to have the courage to pass the motion in order to accept the grant. So
and typically, there's a local match. Typically, for a lot of these grants, all the grants a local match, or most of them, or
almost always.
Some of them are in kind, so we can So we got a grant to do the sidewalk from First down Grand Avenue. We're hoping we can get to around Furman Place. That's going to be an in-kind where we have Public Works and Dean Ryan's shop do the work instead of giving money. Then we have other grants where we have to come up with the cash and not in-kind work. Some are like a hybrid model.
A lot of hybrid. But think about the force multiplier, that simple thing. We're a small municipality, and we have trouble getting sidewalk dedicated money. In this case, we can meet the match in its entirety. We have our own public works team. They're going to do a great job, and we get a significant length of sidewalk that we would have had to do anyway at taxpayer expense for 100% free. I mean, that's the kind of opportunity we keep looking at regularly.
Yeah. Speaking of cuts, I got either a text or email from the good folks at the Missisquoi National Wildlife Refuge in the last day or two, just putting out a plea for volunteers. It seems like even years ago, their staffing to me seemed incredibly low, and things aren't obviously getting any better. So I should mention, too, for folks who happen to see the show pretty quickly, they're having their, of course, Vermont Green Up Day is this coming Saturday, May 3rd, and the Refuge has their cleanup Green Up Day the day before. In fact, I trust I'll be out there again on Friday, but I'm sure they could use the use the help. Speaking of Vermont Green Up Day, do you usually get a decent participation from that, Susie?
So Green Up Day is headed up by our beautification committee, which I chair and co-chair with Hank Lambert. And Hank Lambert is running the Green Up Day, and we get a small dedicated group of people that come out for the Green Up.
Yeah.
So Hank will be at the public library on Saturday morning, and you can get a bag from Hank and go around and pick up your trash. And Public Works will pick it up on Monday.
Yeah. Do school kids get involved with that? Sounds like it'd be a great thing for school kids to get into.
So I have been in contact with Richard Barwin at Missisquoi. And usually the times that he has available for kids to help isn't until June, like the last week of school. So while I do have 2 groups of 20 kids for 6-11 and 6-12, the group on the 11th will be working with Dean Ryan. Well, they'll be overseen by me, but doing projects for Dean Ryan. And on the 12th, I got a group of kids working with Kevin LePan from the Swan Town, either around his shop or on the Richard Thompson Healthy Fit Trail.
Which I get on do periodically and stuff. And that great place to check out. Twain, how many years for yourself with the Swanton Village Electric?
28 years, and July 1st it'll start going on my 29th.
Wow, is the end getting near? I forget. Are you looking
You had to ask.
Yes, it is. The end of September.
End of September?
Yes.
Does Billy, are you not necessarily buying that, or?
Oh, no, his paperwork is in. We're going to miss him, but like any organization, his responsibility is to identify identify his replacement.
Yeah.
Darren Plouffe has applied for and been promoted, so he will succeed
really? So that's
Dwayne
nailed down.
in that role.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
A worthy successor, a decent successor?
Very, yes. Darren has, 30 years with Swanton right
Really?
now. So, so he's perfect for the position. He'll be able to step right in, no problem.
So
Everything
looking
will
back
run
on your
just as
many
smooth.
years, I mean, all kinds of changes. It's just a very different work now than it used to be, or not drastically so?
I would say a lot safer than when I started in the industry.
Wow.
For sure. My first year here, 97, the 98 ice storm hit.
Wow. I remember it well.
We worked 48 hours straight and then 7 16-hour days after that.
Wow.
You don't work 48-hour days. There's no crew that does that anymore.
Yeah.
Or 48 hours straight, I should say, excuse me. You would work, you might work 16 hours, but then you get your rest and come back out when these long, lengthy storms are hitting.
Yeah.
If it's something you can complete in that 24-hour period, okay, but if it's not, it's been recognized in the industry that safety is a priority.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, the ice storms, when I got to know Reg Belleville,
Yep.
what Swanton's emergency, whatever he was then. But
Yes.
how did Swantonville? I remember Grand Isle County took a huge hit. I mean, a lot of, and not to mention north of the border. Did
Yes.
Swanton Village fare not too badly with that, or?
it was odd. It was like you drew a
Different
line
places?
down half of our
Really?
system.
Wow.
So half of it got hit hard.
Wow.
We had all of our customers back up in 48 hours.
Did you really? 48 hours.
And those 7 16-hour days were spent working with Citizens Utility over in the islands.
Because the islands, I can remember National
They
Guard
were.
folks up
Horrible.
in,
They
Wow.
were into Isle of Mont, and you couldn't even drive through there.
yeah.
Right.
And north of the border, I can still picture just the huge transmission towers knocked over. That was, what an incredible storm that was.
Yes.
Boy, down to about 5 minutes. Health of downtown, anything to report? Is there kind of a downtown master plan or some plan going on for downtown, Bill?
Yes, there's a tremendous
Susie,
amount to
Dwayne.
report. So we have 3 different iterations of grants for improvements, starting with the front of Merchants Row, then down Church Street, and then another $600,000 grant with a $150,000 match for Canada. Altogether, roughly $2.3, $2.5 million in various stages. It's going to take years to accomplish, but everything points to a bright future for everything that we have going on downtown, I think.
Yeah, I agree. And, I think we're trying to get 74 Merchants Row shovel ready so we can look for grants for that. So we can, 74 is going to be our new municipal parking lot. And then, we've been working, I've been working with the rec and the Arts Council to have more events in the park in the summertime to bring more people to the downtown core and the
You
businesses.
still have your last Saturday in July car show, I trust?
Yeah, so we're just gonna have the car show and we're gonna have the block party the Friday before the car show starts. And then we've added 2 additional events in the park. One at the end of May, and one towards the end of August, where it's just like a family night. We're gonna have band, we're gonna have cornhole, we're gonna have face painting, and just to bring the community together in more ways. So I just feel like it's more of an outreach to the community and just trying to bring everybody together.
Do you feel like you make progress on that front? People are so busy doing their own thing. Does it sound like you think you make some progress on trying to bring the community together?
I think we do. I mean, I think last year the block party had a really big turnout, and it was, had a lot of really good feedback on that, which is why Nicole Draper, Select Woman Draper, and I and Abby got it from the library, and she's also on the Swanton Arts Council, and Darcy LaRush, who Benoit is in charge of the chamber, and she's a local businesswoman. The 4 of us got together again and said, okay, let's do the block party again, but let's also add some more gatherings so that we can really, bring the community together, because it was so good last year, and I think it also helped the downtown businesses. Like Vision Nutrition, and the bistro was just getting started.
It sounds like the bistro is doing very well. Sounds like you have a real viable downtown restaurant.
Yeah, it's doing really good. And I'm meeting with Nate later today. He's going to help sponsor the 5K that I do for Corn Fest. I started it last year. And so this is the second year of the Corn Fest 5K, and he's going to sponsor it, and we're going to work together and get some, things going for local events like that.
Yeah. Down to about a couple minutes. Summer projects. We were talking some paving coming up, Bill.
Yeah, the positive spin-off of being successful with all these grants are a massive amount of work for all of our departments to do, which is good. And I keep reminding everybody that it will slow down, which is okay. Every shop has, I would say, a full plate throughout the summer, and it does not seem to slow down. There are just different seasons and different projects and different approaches, but it's been very busy. But again, 42 full-time folks. We have only 2 vacancies. And I remind this team all the time that look around and enjoy who you're working with, because it's a really good team right now.
Yeah. So we're paving Lake and Linda, and we're going to be doing the sidewalk project on Grand Avenue. And got fiber optics.
It's going in for the cameras. That's being strung out right now as we speak.
We're doing water lines where we can.
Yeah. Wow. Down to about 1 minute. Dwayne, again, with your retirement not far away, it'd be nice to go out with an approved, bigger, newer electric department.
That would be great. That would be great, as well as, we have our smart metering that's all going in this summer as well, along with finishing up our GIS system. So that is 2 things that I want to accomplish before I walk away.
And Bill, that'd be just fine with you, I guess, huh?
Yeah, and that's a large project right there, the automated metering infrastructure. There's 4,000 electric meters sitting in our shop right now waiting to be installed.
And seconds left, Susie, again, you're hoping 3rd time's the charm, hoping for A positive vote for you folks on May 6th.
I'm hoping the second vote on the electric building is a charm.
Sorry about that.
I knew she was going to say that.
Vote number 2. Sorry about that. Gotcha. Vote number 2 on the electric department building.
Yeah.
Anyway, May 6th is voting day, 7 to 7 of the Swanton Village Municipal Complex. Anyway, thanks for the time.
Thank you.
Susie Keller, the Swanton Village trustee, Dwayne Kuchar, supervisor of Swanton Village Electric Department, Bill Sheets, the Swanton Village manager. Thanks for the time, folks. Appreciate it. Thanks to producer Alan Cunningham. I'm Richard Cowperthwait. We'll see you next time here on Northwest Access TV. See ya.